This happened about 10 years ago. I was attending a really terrible university. I was working 4 nights a week, and I could afford little more than dinner each day. Rent and gas money really killed me financially. I really needed a job to survive. This all happened before I was working. It was summer of my second year. It was one of the hottest days of the year. On days like that, I always went to study on campus to enjoy the free air conditioning. In the library, they have a bulletin board where anyone can post any personal adverts and all that kind of stuff. I often check the board because sometimes you could pick up some easy work. For example, you could do high school students who were looking for a tutor and that kind of thing. Other times there would be interesting advertisements too. Study a foreign language with me. I like the sense of community. You'd see stuff like that. When I approached the board that day, I saw the following advertisement. Cleaner wanted to help clean a room. 5,000 yen per half day. Please contact Tanaka. This was some good timing because I had just taken a test and was about to have a week off. 5,000 yen was a lot to me. It's about $45. That would get me back to my hometown for a couple of days, I thought. As soon as I got back to my dorm, I immediately called the number provided. Hey, I'd like to apply for that cleaning job you posted. The voice on the other end of the line responded, and it sounded slightly bewildered. Oh, right. What days can you work? I told him that I'd work for the full amount advertised. Can you start at 9 a.m. next Tuesday? I agreed, and he gave me the address. It sounded like a residential address, and I guessed by his voice that he was a man in his 30s, and he sounded a little sick over the phone. My first day of work arrived. The morning was hot, but the sky was free of clouds. When I arrived at Mr. Tanaka's house, I felt the breeze of his air conditioning, and I was worried that I was going to be working without one. I arrived 10 minutes early at 8:50 and rang the doorbell, and a man came and answered it. Right on time. Come in, he said. He was a bit awkward, not one for chatting, and he wouldn't look me in the eyes when we spoke. I took my shoes off and followed him into the house. After we introduced ourselves to one another, he explained what he needed. It was pretty easy stuff. Help with moving heavy things, trips to the garbage dump, and some other light cleaning work. I was shocked by the things he was throwing away. They may have been trash to him, but to a student like me, they were treasures. He must have seen me admiring these things because he said, "If you want to keep anything, it's yours." So I sorted some things into a sort of keep pile and can't remember exactly what they were. I think there were a couple of games, some books, maybe a dirty magazine too. We were cleaning the room at a decent pace. I was kind of enjoying it, to be honest. Before long, his room started to look really good. Maybe we'll call it a day here. I felt him suddenly look my way. It looked like he was pretending to think about it a bit longer, and then he said, "Yeah, that's enough for today." Because I had worked a lot longer than half a day, he doubled my pay. I couldn't believe my luck, and then he said, "Are you free tomorrow? For half a day?" I was over the moon to get another chance to make some easy money, so I agreed. I got on my bike with all my cool new stuff and told him that I was looking forward to working with him tomorrow morning. When I got to his place, I found the door open. I craned my head around the door and called out. He asked me to come in. He was grinning when I walked in. "I have your money here. I'll leave it in this envelope over here." He grabbed me by the hand and led me to another room. This was weird. His whole attitude seemed different. In this room, there was a walk-in closet. There was a heavy-looking suitcase, sort of like for travel. This thing's so heavy. I need your help to help me move it." "This is how it's going to work. I'll push from behind, and on my signal, I want you to pull as hard as you can. Is that okay?" He hopped over the suitcase and went into the walk-in closet. I couldn't see him beyond all the jackets, shirts, and all that kind of stuff hanging up in there. After a while, Mr. Tanaka shouted, "Pull!" And as per his instructions, I pulled the suitcase as hard as I could. It weighed so much, but what in God's name did he have in there? I wondered. It must have weighed almost 60 kilos. It was moving little by little, dragging slowly across the wooden floor. There was a clattering sound, and suddenly the suitcase felt incredibly light. "Mr. Tanaka?" I called out over and over, but there was no response. What was this? Some sort of game he was playing? I didn't understand. There was still that rattling sound, but it had gradually quieted. 10 seconds or so had passed, and I couldn't take it anymore. I pushed the shirts and jackets aside, and I'll never forget what I saw. I saw Mr. Tanaka in the closet, hanging from his neck. He must have been either sitting or crouching on the suitcase I had pulled away. He was suspended on the clothes rail in there. I ran over to help. I tried my best to pull the rope from around his neck, but it wouldn't budge. My mind raced with panicking, disjointed thoughts, then one clear one came to me. I need something sharp to cut the rope. Mr. Tanaka wasn't moving. This was really bad. The rope was way too thick for scissors to be of any help. I had no choice. I had to try and get a neighbor to help. The police and ambulance services arrived. I was interviewed by the police at the scene. My parents traveled up, and when they arrived, I remember I just broke down, bawled my eyes out. Mr. Tanaka was taken away in an ambulance. He lived through the night, but passed away in the morning of the next day, and I couldn't save him in time. The least I could do for him was to finish the cleaning. I thought that it would help me too to do that, but it was so much in the process. I made sure his apartment looked good though. I had some strange compulsion to finish his final request. I went to take my payment, and inside the envelope was a note as well as the money that he had promised me. The note revealed that he had been laid off. His company had been looking to make cutbacks. Shortly after he found out his wife had been cheating on him with another man. His debt and loans seemed insurmountable to him, which is why he decided to just end things. At the end of his note, he apologized to me for all the trouble he had caused me. He explained how he needed assistance to go through with it, and the cleaning job was just a ruse to get me to help. I showed this note to the police, and it put me in the clear. Police even let me keep the money. About a week went by, and Mr. Tanaka's sister got in touch. He had long been estranged from her, and she revealed a certain truth that hasn't set well with me, and I wish that she didn't tell me. Mr. Tanaka was a believer in a certain dangerous cult-like religion. In that religion, the act of taking one's life is considered a terrible sin and is prohibited. If you did that, then you would be condemned to hell for all eternity. So, he couldn't take his own life, and that's why he needed me. I was given 100,000 yen, or $900 from his family, and his estate for all the trouble that he had caused me. According to Mr. Tanaka's interpretation, am I now a murderer? I wonder if I'll go to hell now for killing someone for 115,000 yen, or $1,050. You can share this story if you feel compelled, and I just want to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this scary story, listen to thousands more, either over on the Let's Read YouTube channel or podcast.